I am the fake heiress, and I was kidnapped. My childhood rival and nemesis was kidnapped with me. His family quickly delivered the ransom, but he leaned back in his chair like a boss and said lazily, "If she doesn't go, I'm not going either." I was really falling apart. My parents had just chartered a flight to pick up their biological daughter, and right after that, I got kidnapped. My parents didn't answer their phones, so the kidnappers cursed and slammed the door on their way out. When they returned, they brought another person with them. It was Jiang Zhan, my neighbor since childhood and my nemesis from the same class since kindergarten. When Jiang Zhan saw me, his gloomy face twisted with even more annoyance. He lifted his chin and frowned. "And Xiran, how long have you been tied up here?" I raised my reddened eyes to glance at the wall clock, my voice trembling. "4 hours." Jiang Zhan clicked his tongue in clear dissatisfaction and glared at the kidnappers. "Didn't you guys do your homework before pulling this off? My family is way richer than hers. You kidnapped her first and me second. Are you looking down on me or something?" The kidnappers looked bewildered. "However many times you tied her up, double it for me." Jiang Zhan proactively put his hands behind the chair and ordered the kidnappers to come tie him up. The kidnappers exchanged uncertain glances. Then they actually came over and tied him up. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. All the fear from earlier vanished without a trace. Jiang Zhan shot me an irritated glare. "What's so funny?" I stopped laughing and shook my head seriously. "Jiang Zhan, don't talk about yourself like that. Damn it." He looked like he was about to explode with anger. My relationship with Jiang Zhan started going downhill in high school. Back then, I always ranked first in our grade, while his grades kept slipping. Our family villas were next to each other, so I became the child from another family his parents kept praising. He, in turn, started targeting me in every possible way. But he never knew I'd liked him since middle school. I'd known since I was little that I wasn't my parents' biological child, and they never gave up searching for their real daughter. I had to study like my life depended on it, just to feel like I was worthy of Jiang Zhan. Until that afternoon during break, I stayed in the classroom because of my period, while everyone else went out for exercises. Jiang Zhan walked in and threw me a thermos. The smell of brown sugar and ginger tea wafted from it. My face flushed instantly. How did you know?" Jiang Zhan lifted his chin arrogantly. "Your face turns as pale as a ghost on these 2 days every month." Hard not to notice, my heart warmed, and I was about to thank him when he handed me something else. "Give this to Zhouhe for me." Zhouhe was my desk mate and the class beauty. I looked down and saw a love letter. So he'd given me the brown sugar tea just to get me to deliver his love letter? My heart instantly plunged into an icy abyss. That was also the moment I completely gave up on him. We became true nemesis from then on. Jiang Zhan had been tied up for less than 2 hours when his family's ransom arrived. The kidnappers apologized and untied him with flattering smiles. But he leaned back in his chair like a boss, propping his long legs on the coffee table, and said lazily, "I'll wait a bit and leave with her." My parents still hadn't answered their calls. Besides, now that they'd found their real daughter, would they even pay to get me back? Annoyed, I glared at Jiang Zhan. "Jiang Zhan, are you insane? Who wants to leave with you? Looking at you pisses me off. Get lost." Jiang Zhan was also provoked. He shot up from his chair. "And Xiran, if you're going to be like that, then I'm not leaving today. You said it yourself, whoever leaves first is a coward." We argued fiercely, both red in the face. The kidnappers stared at us, stunned. It wasn't until the police broke in and subdued the kidnappers one by one that this farce finally came to an end. I glanced at the people who entered afterward. My parents weren't there. No one from the Yin family was there either. In contrast, Jiang Zhan was surrounded by almost all his elders, forming an iron wall around him. Everyone was fussing over him, asking if he was okay. A sense of loss welled up in my chest. My eyes turned red, and I turned to leave. But Jiang Zhan had somehow caught up to me, his tone as annoying as ever. "Crying?" I looked away, my voice choked but stubborn. "No, just got something in my eye." Jiang Zhan let out a frustrated laugh. Once I'd calmed down, I looked at him with swollen eyes and asked pitifully, "Jiang Zhan, can I stay at your place tonight?" Jiang Zhan stared at me with bright eyes, silent for a long moment, before finally not contradicting me for once. "Stay if you want, okay." I followed Jiang Zhan back to his apartment. After I finished showering, I learned that Jiang Zhan's parents hadn't planned to call the police at all. They'd paid the ransom but hadn't seen him released, so they'd finally reported it. I was rescued purely thanks to him. Jiang Zhan took 2 cans of cold beer from the fridge, tossed one to me, and raised an eyebrow. "How are you going to thank me?" I joked half-heartedly. I don't have anything now. How about I offer myself? He paused while pulling the tab of his can and looked up at me with dark eyes. My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly explained. Just kidding. He frowned unhappily but didn't say anything. To ease the awkwardness, I raised my beer and gulped down half the can. The beer slid down my throat, cool and refreshing. I don't know how much time passed, but the room started spinning. My consciousness began to blur. Later, I had a dream. In the dream, I climbed onto Jiang Zhan, puckering my lips for a kiss while my body uncontrollably went limp and slid downward. Just as I was about to slip off completely, Jiang Zhan caught me. I took the chance to kiss him. Having never kissed anyone before, I clumsily pressed my lips against his, unsure what to do next. He seemed annoyed by my inexperience, frowned, and muttered, "So clumsy." Then he cupped the back of my head and took over. Just as I was about to run out of breath, he released me, leaned close to my ear, and whispered, "And Xiran, who said you have nothing? You still have me." When I woke up, the scenes from the dream still lingered in my mind. My ears felt tingly and warm. I gently patted my cheeks, forcing myself to get up and wash my face. Walking into the living room, I saw Jiang Zhan frying eggs in the kitchen. My eyes unconsciously landed on the half-empty can of beer on the table. My heart pounded violently. Jiang Zhan's voice broke the silence just then. "And Xiran, come here for a sec." "Okay." I averted my gaze, trying to act natural as I walked over. "What's up?" Without looking up, Jiang Zhan said, "My phone keeps buzzing. Check it for me. The password is my birthday." I glanced at his phone on the countertop and picked it up. My finger froze on the last digit of the password. My fingertips slowly turned pale. Trying to suppress the discomfort from my racing heart, I asked as casually as I could, "When's your birthday again?" Jiang Zhan turned to me with a grim expression. Use face recognition. Having known him for so many years, I recognized this as his tell for being angry. But just because I didn't remember his birthday? I pushed down my wild thoughts and held the phone up to his face. As soon as the phone unlocked, it opened to WeChat. It was Johi. She'd sent several wedding dress photos, asking Jiang Zhan to help her pick one. My briefly elated heart stalled and plummeted. Soreness and sadness intertwined, rising from the depths of my heart. Since falling for Jiang Zhan, I'd always been like this, habitually searching for clues that he might like me too, hidden between the lines. But it always ended with me soaring to heaven one moment and crashing to hell the next. Even after all these years, I still hadn't changed. "What's wrong?" Jiang Zhan asked when I didn't move for a while, turning off the stove to look at me. I quickly masked the emotions in my eyes and smiled, lifting the phone. "Wow, you're something. Getting married already?" Jiang Zhan took the phone, looking confused. Afraid I couldn't keep the smile on my face, I quickly said congratulations and carried my breakfast to the dining table. Truthfully, I'd lost my appetite. But leaving now would seem strange. As I sat there, head bowed, sipping porridge, Jiang Zhan's phone appeared in front of me again. The screen showed the wedding dress photos Joe had sent, and Xiran, as a favor to an old classmate, helped pick one. I resisted with every fiber of my being, but I still carefully scrolled through and gave my opinion. The second one. The diamonds on the skirt look like stars. "It's pretty." Then, almost as an afterthought, I asked, "Have you set a date? When is it?" "What? Getting into it now? Want to help pick the date too?" Something I said must have annoyed Jiang Zhan again because his tone turned sarcastic. I was genuinely speechless. I decided to keep my mouth shut. But then, Jiang Zhan shoved his phone toward me again, his face dark. "Joe says you have good taste and wants you to pick the groom's suit too." Was this never going to end? I retorted impatiently, "Does the suit even need picking? With your model-like build and that face, you could wear a potato sack to the wedding and still look good. Just pick randomly." My words came out tinged with bitterness. Jiang Zhan silently stared at me for a few seconds before his expression finally softened, a faint smile curling at the corner of his mouth. No wonder Fatty Shen picked such an ugly groomsman outfit for me. He was probably afraid I'd steal his spotlight. Fatty Shen was his deskmate from their first year of high school. And groomsman outfit? I choked, looking up in surprise. "It's not you getting married?" Jiang Zhan shot back. "Why would you think it was me? You before." I almost brought up the love letter incident, but caught myself and quickly changed direction. "Well, you didn't deny it earlier. You scared me half to death. I thought my little savings were about to take a hit. Back when I'd first decided to be Jiang Zhan's nemesis, I argued with him every chance I got. In the heat of the moment, I'd made a bet with him, Whoever got married later would have to give the earlier one the biggest red envelope, no returns allowed. Jiang Zhan unexpectedly fell silent. He studied me with deep, dark eyes for a long moment before leaning back lazily in his chair. I thought it was that love letter I asked you to give Johi that made you misunderstand. I gripped my spoon. Misunderstand what? Jiang Zhan replied casually. Misunderstand that I liked Johi. That letter was written by Fatty Shen. I was just doing him a favor. I froze for several seconds. The memory of that scene flashed through my mind. After reading the letter, Johi had excitedly told me, I never thought someone like Jiang Zhan would like me too. If Jiang Zhan didn't write it, why would she say that? Jiang Zhan seemed like he'd just been making casual conversation. After breakfast, he headed to work, but I sat at the dining table, my heart unable to calm down for a long time. It wasn't until a colleague texted me that I snapped out of it, hurriedly tittied up, and left. I studied broadcasting at Harbin Institute of Technology in college. After graduation, I was internally referred to work at Harbin Broadcasting. This time I'd return to Hangzhou for an assignment and external interview. After the interview, I drove to the airport. But right outside the airport restroom, I ran straight into Jiang Zhan. He was wearing a sharp black suit, the top two buttons of his shirt undone. Paired with his restrained, handsome face, he looked like a top-tier celebrity just off the red carpet. Jiang Zhan was also taken aback when he saw me. Leaving already? Is your work here done? I shook my head. No. I'm here to pick up a colleague. What about you? I'm picking someone up too. Before he finished speaking, I saw Guyan walking out and quickly waved. Senior. Jiang Zhan followed my gaze, his expression noticeably darkening. Guyan walked over with his luggage. You really came. I could have just taken a taxi. I smiled. It's fine. I wasn't busy anyway. Guyan smiled back, then turned to Jiang Zhan and extended his hand. Jiang Zhan, long time no see. Guyan was in the same high school as us, one grade above. He'd been my partner in the broadcasting club, so Jiang Zhan knew him too. Jiang Zhan frowned, his face cold, and didn't extend his hand for a long moment. The atmosphere instantly froze. My smile gradually turned awkward. I nudged Jiang Zhan with my hand. Only then did Jiang Zhan coldly lift his eyes. It's long time no see for you, but I see you on TV every day. Guyan awkwardly withdrew his hand. I tried to ease the tension. Jiang Zhan, didn't you say you were picking someone up? We'll head out first. I started walking away with Guyan, but after just a few steps, Jiang Zhan called out to me, and Xiran. I turned back surprised. What? Are you coming back to sleep tonight? I thought for a moment. Yes. Jiang Zhan's expression softened slightly. Then I'll wait for you. It wasn't until we left the airport that I realized something was off. My face instantly flushed bright red. What Jiang Zhan had said just now clearly made it sound like we were living together. What was wrong with him? Distracted, I finished dinner and drove back to the apartment. The place was dark and empty. My heart instantly sank. Just as I thought I might have been overthinking it, I heard a sharp click. The overhead light suddenly turned on. Jiang Zhan stood by the switch in loungewear, handsome but cold-eyed. The screen of the phone in his hand showed a call log. He'd clearly just finished a call. I pretended to be calm. You're home. Why didn't you turn on the lights? Didn't feel like it. My heart skipped a beat, then started pounding against my chest. I heard myself ask again, why didn't you feel like it? Jiang Zhan glanced at me but didn't answer. I couldn't figure out what he meant. I decided to be direct. Jiang Zhan, do you Li? And Xiran? Jiang Zhan suddenly cut me off. Today I went to the airport to pick up the daughter of a friend of my mom's. Sort of a blind date. I'll introduce you sometime. I'm not stupid. Jiang Zhan had called out to me just then because he want me to finish that question. Telling me he'd introduce his blind date to me was his way of gently rejecting me. He was trying to save me face, but I felt utterly humiliated. Some other time. I've been really busy with work lately. I fled in panic. Once I closed the bedroom door, the bitterness inside me threatened to swallow me whole. Tears finally spilled over, falling uncontrollably. I wiped them away while packing my things. I didn't understand I'd only stayed one night, but why did it feel like I had so much stuff to pack? I moved out overnight because I didn't know how to face him. Before leaving, I specifically left a goodbye note on the fridge. Jiang Zhan probably understood what I meant because he didn't come ask me about it. Our unexpected reunion ended just as abruptly as it had begun. 3 days later, the interview work at the station was wrapping up. As I finished recording, I got a call from the police station. The kidnapping case was closed, and they needed me to come sign some papers. On the way, I was still nervous. What if I ran into Jiang Zhan? When I arrived, I cautiously asked the staff. They told me Jiang Zhan had work in the morning and wouldn't he be there until the afternoon. Relieved, I started reading the case file. It turned out I'd been kidnapped by mistake. The kidnapper's ex-colleague, Han Yun, had sold the same apartment to multiple buyers, leaving him with no money and no home. His wedding plans fell through, and when Han Yun refused to repay him, he snapped and took drastic measures. He found out Han Yun was coming to Hangzhou on a business trip and waited at the airport entrance. But the smog was heavy that day, and he didn't see her face clearly. He only recognized the coat and bag I was wearing. It suddenly hit me. Earlier, Han Yun had said an actress friend of hers was playing a wealthy heiress role, but the crew didn't provide outfits, so she wanted to borrow mine. Without thinking much, I'd lend them to her. But when the agreed return time came, she didn't give them back. Around that time, she was going through resignation procedures, so I didn't feel comfortable pressing her. She'd resigned 3 months ago. It wasn't until this business trip, when I ran into her at the airport, that she finally returned the coat and bag. Looking back now, there were too many coincidences. The kidnapper said once he took off the hood, he knew he'd kidnapped the wrong person. But the kidnapping had already happened, there was no turning back. So he used my phone to demand ransom from my family. And Jiang Zhan, he was the one who called proactively. He even emphasized repeatedly that kidnapping him would yield a higher ransom and promised his family wouldn't he call the police. But his cooperation came with one condition: they couldn't hurt me. My parents hadn't answered their calls, and they couldn't reach any other family members of mine. After discussing it, the kidnappers decided to take the risk and kidnap Jiang Zhan instead. My hands holding the case file trembled slightly. Why? Why would Jiang Zhan do that? The female officer next to me probably thought I was still shaken. She patted my shoulder gently. Don't worry. We'll coordinate with the Harbin police to legally summon your colleague. We'll make sure justice is served. Thank you. I spent a day at home lost in thought. Before returning to Harbin, I decided to see Jiang Zhan one more time. Even if I couldn't get the answer I wanted, at least I could thank him properly. But I never expected to run into him and his blind date outside his company building. The girl was about my height, dressed in a sweet yet edgy style, with 2 small dimples when she smiled. I immediately regretted coming. But it was too late. Jiang Zhan spotted me almost instantly. Maybe because of what happened before, he didn't greet me like he usually would. He just stared at me, his expression unreadable. I forced myself to walk over. Jiang Zhan, is this your blind date? The girl turned to me, surprised. Jiang Zhan froze for a few seconds, then stiffly nodded and introduced us. Song Yan, this is Xiran. So he'd already told her about me. Song Yan's eyes suddenly lit up. So she's the one. I looked up, puzzled. Her words abruptly shifted direction. Your neighbor? Before I could react, Song Yan had already linked arms with me like we were old friends. Little neighbor, tell me how many girlfriends has Jiang Zhan had? I pursed my lips. Why don't you ask him directly? Song Yan sighed. I did. He said he's never dated. With his looks, who would believe that? Honestly, same. Jiang Zhan's looks have always been the type girls fawn over. If I were her, I wouldn't believe it either. I smiled. Miss Song, judging someone by their appearance isn't fair. As far as I know, he probably hasn't dated. What? Really? Then, has he ever liked anyone? I'd once misunderstood that he liked Zhou He. But if I said no, would people think he had some hidden issues? After weighing it carefully, I said, probably yes. But even if he does, he wouldn't tell me. We're just neighbors and high school classmates, not that close. Jiang Zhan's face visibly darkened. After that, Song Yan asked questions, and I answered each one, smoothly praising Jiang Zhan in every response. I was jealous, and it hurt, but I didn't want my feelings to affect Jiang Zhan's blind date. After Song Yan left, Jiang Zhan confronted me, his tone sharp. And Xiran, are you really that eager for me to get married? After the initial shock, my expression tightened. She asked me, was I supposed to badmouth you? Jiang Zhan retorted irritably, do I need you to praise me? If you'd just shut up and said nothing, I'd have thanked you. With that angry remark, he turned and walked away. I was furious. I was already feeling awful inside, and now I got blamed for sticking up for him. I shouldn't have come today. That night, just before bed, Shohei texted me. She said she'd just found out I was back and wanted to treat me to dinner. By the way, to give me her wedding invitation. Since I also had some questions for her, I agreed. But the next day, as soon as we met, she blurted out, why aren't you and Jiang Zhan together yet? She made it sound like Jiang Zhan and I were destined to be together. I glanced at her, feigning nonchalance. Didn't you say before that Jiang Zhan wrote you a love letter? If he liked you, why would he end up with me? Zhou froze for a few seconds, then asked in utter surprise. Jiang Zhan didn't tell you. But before I could answer, she shook her head, contradicting herself. Wait, that's not right. He went to find you that day. Confused, I asked, what are you talking about? Only then did Zhou explain. Okay, so back then, Shen Zihao told me Jiang Zhan liked you. He asked me to say what I did to see if you'd get jealous. Later, when you kept avoiding Jiang Zhan, I told him about it. I was going to explain it to you myself, but he said he wanted to tell you himself and went to the broadcasting room to find you. He didn't go? I frowned deeply. Of course he didn't go. If he had, I wouldn't have misunderstood all this time. Zhou realized belatedly. So when you changed your college preference to Harbin Institute of Technology, was it because of this too? She sounded guilty. I'm sorry, Xiran. I just wanted to help back then. I didn't mean to mess things up. I shook my head. It wasn't exactly a mess. Maybe Shen Zihao just misunderstood. Jiang Zhan doesn't like me. Zhou's mouth fell open slightly. How do you know? I lowered my gaze. I asked him directly. Zhou fell silent for a moment before asking. Then, do you still like him? I admitted honestly. Whether I like him or not doesn't matter anymore. He and his blind date seemed pretty good together. From Zhou's reaction, it was clear she didn't know about Jiang Zhan's blind date. She told me to order first while she took her phone and headed to the restroom. When she returned from the restroom, Zhou leaned in conspiratorially. Xiran, do you want to try one more time? I looked up at her. Try what? Zhou smiled. Try to see if Jiang Zhan really likes you. One last try, so you won't have any regrets. I frowned. I had asked Jiang Zhan before, but he'd cut me off before I could finish. I seriously asked myself. The answer was if I didn't get clarity now, I'd regret it someday. My heart stirred slightly. How? Give me your phone. Bewildered, I handed it over, then got up and sat next to her. Zhou opened my photo album. After scrolling a bit, she sent a photo of Guyan and me at a restaurant to her own WeChat. Then she posted it on her Moments with the caption, okay, but seriously, with looks like these to have, it'd be a crime not to have a bunch of cute babies. Congrats, congrats. Why not have a joint wedding later? For authenticity, she only blocked Guyan. I understood her intention almost instantly, but disappointment still set in. Evening came, and Jiang Zhan never called. Zhou, worried he hadn't seen it, posted a few more wedding photos on her Moments. Jiang Zhan liked it almost instantly. My heart sank to the pit of my stomach. Even though I'd expected it, the pain in my chest was still suffocating. This unrequited love wasn't all bad though. At least it had a clear beginning and end. After saying goodbye to Zhou, I took a taxi home. As soon as I got out, I saw a tall figure standing under the streetlight. At his feet was a scattering of cigarette butts. I had no idea how long he'd been standing there. Suddenly, Jiang Zhan looked up and met my eyes. We locked gazes, completely unprepared. We'd grown up together and lived next door. I didn't want things to be too awkward between us. I gave him a slight nod as a greeting, then averted my eyes and turned toward home. But he suddenly called out, and Xiran, tears welled in my eyes. I didn't want him to see me cry, so I pretended not to hear and kept walking. Jiang Zhan caught up from behind and grabbed my wrist. Didn't you hear me calling you? I didn't turn around. My voice muffled. Do you need something? Jiang Zhan's tone was heavy. I just wanted to ask how much of a red envelope I should give you. He waited for me just to ask that. My heart ached. I replied bitterly. How much do you want to give? Jiang Zhan chuckled. No taking advantage now. Hearing him laugh made me even angrier. I turned and glared at him. You're so rich, what's wrong with letting me take a little? Forget it. Things we said as kids don't count. Give whatever you want. I tried to yank my hand away forcefully, but he held on tighter, his eyes fixed on mine. I'll give it. Whatever dowry Guyan gives you, I'll give double. My nose tingled, and tears fell unexpectedly. My voice choked up. Are you stupid? Double could buy two of me. Seeing me cry, Jiang Zhan paused. I'm the one losing out here. Why are you crying? Did Guyan bully you? I'll go find him. I looked at him with red eyes. In what capacity? Jiang Zhan was taken aback. What? Even if he did bully me, who are you to me? What right do you have to go confront him? Jiang Zhan stared at me and suddenly fell silent. A long time passed. Finally, I called his name again, voice trembling. Jiang Zhan. I'm here. I don't like Guyan, and I'm not marrying him. The person I like is you. It's always been you. After a moment of shock, Jiang Zhan's eyes, dark all evening, suddenly lit up. He looked at me almost feverishly. His intense gaze made me nervous. I instinctively stepped back, but he wrapped an arm around my waist. The next moment, he pulled me into a tight embrace. Do you have any idea? Everyone in the world knows I like you except you. His hoarse voice carried a hint of a sob. Tears surged again, falling one by one onto his shoulder. Then why did you say you'd give me a red envelope? If he hadn't posted that, would you never have told me? Jiang Zhan released me, looking down at me with red-rimmed eyes. But compared to the possibility of losing you, I'd rather spend my whole life with you. I understood that sentiment better than anyone. Suddenly, I felt a pang of heartache for him. Jiang Zhan suddenly wrapped both hands around my waist. Instinctively, I looped my arms around his neck, our eyes meeting. What are you doing? Jiang Zhan smiled. And Xiran, you didn't think I was going to kiss you, did you? Flustered and annoyed, I was about to push him away when he added, Congratulations. You guessed right. The next second, his lips met mine. My head spun. My heart felt like it was about to burst out of my chest. So, this is what kissing feels like. Deliberate coughing came from behind us. I stiffened, my eyes flying open. Blushing, I tried to push Jiang Zhan away. Jiang Zhan frowned unhappily but let me go. His sharp gaze turned toward the source of the sound behind me. Song Yan walked out with a pitiful expression. I really didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say, Uncle and Auntie Anne and my parents are about to arrive. Her parents? Were they meeting the parents already? My expression fell, and I pulled my hand from Jiang Zhan's grip. Sensing my mood, Jiang Zhan softened his expression and took my hand again. He explained, Song Yan isn't my blind date. She's your twin sister. My head jerked up, eyes wide with shock. What? After hearing their explanation, I finally understood. The person my parents had chartered the flight to pick up was Song Yan. My dad had unexpectedly met Song Yan's parents. That's when they realized the truth couldn't stay hidden any longer. Years ago, my mom had a late pregnancy. She wanted a natural birth, but even after 42 weeks, there were no signs of labor. As a last resort, she went to the hospital for induction. But she gave birth to a stillborn baby. The doctor concluded the baby had died in the womb around week 41. After reaching full term, the doctor had repeatedly advised my mom to deliver, but she insisted on waiting for natural labor. After learning the truth, my mom couldn't handle the shock and fell seriously ill. The doctor said it was psychological. My dad visited orphanage after orphanage, trying to adopt a newborn, but there were none available. During those days, Mrs. Song in the same maternity room gave birth to twin girls. When my dad returned, he saw my mom holding me as if she'd recovered. My dad knelt before Mr. and Mrs. Song and begged them. Mrs. Song couldn't bear it and reluctantly left me behind. Later, my mom recovered completely but selectively forgot the pain of losing her child, believing I was her biological daughter. It wasn't until elementary school, when blood types were recorded, that they realized something was off. Both my parents were type O, but I was type B. My mom thought we'd been switched at birth in the hospital. My dad, afraid her old illness would return, didn't dare tell the truth and let her search the world. They never expected to find Mr. and Mrs. Song this time. When my mom learned the truth, she fainted and was rushed to the emergency room. That's why the kidnappers couldn't reach them when I was kidnapped. Song Yan looked at me apologetically. I'm sorry, Xiran. When I first found out, I was too curious and wanted to see you, so I got Jiang Zhan's contact from Uncle N. At the airport, when I saw you leave with that senior, I thought you liked him. So I gave Jiang Zhan the bad idea that if you sensed his feelings and asked, he should say he was picking up a blind date. That way, you wouldn't be able to reject him easily. So that's what happened. No wonder Jiang Zhan was so angry when I spoke up for him in front of Song Yan. As we talked, a black Bentley pulled up in front of the villa. My dad, my mom, and an unfamiliar middle-aged couple stepped out of the car one after another. Song Yan ran to Mrs. Song and whispered something. Mrs. Song's gaze fixed directly on me. With just one look, she burst into tears. Mr. Song's eyes also reddened, and he quietly turned away. My dad walked over and said to Jiang Zhan, Zhan, thanks for taking care of Xiran these past few days. It let me focus on caring for her mom in the hospital. Jiang Zhan replied politely, You're too kind, uncle. If there's nothing else, I'll head back now. Jiang Zhan turned and gave me one long look before walking away. To be honest, back in elementary school, when I found out I wasn't my parents' biological child, I'd angrily thought, If I ever met my birth parents, I'd ask them why they abandoned me. Then I'd argue with them fiercely and firmly refuse to acknowledge them. But now, knowing the truth, the last trace of resentment vanished. Neither the songs nor my parents forced me to accept or reject anything. It was entirely up to me. They just wanted me to know that my parents hadn't abandoned me, that in this world, I still had 3 family members who loved me deeply. Mr. and Mrs. Song came this time because they were worried after hearing about my kidnapping. They were taking Song Yan back to City B tomorrow. That night, just as I was about to fall asleep, my window suddenly opened from the outside. My eyes flew open. Jiang Zhan was climbing in from outside. I hurried out of bed and walked to the window, glancing fearfully at the connecting balcony between our 2 villas. My heart pounded. Have you forgotten you broke your leg climbing over here as a kid? How dare you do it again? Jiang Zhan reached out to hug me. I couldn't sleep. It feels like a dream. I had to come see you to make sure it's real. I wrapped my arms around his slim waist, stood on my toes, and kissed his chin. Convinced now? Not enough. Let's keep going. He leaned down. I closed my eyes. 2 sharp intakes of breath came from the doorway. Jiang Zhan and I froze, turning our heads in unison. Mr. and Mrs. Song stood awkwardly in the doorway, their eyes wide with surprise. By the time my parents rushed over at the commotion, I hadn't yet let go of Jiang Zhan. I wanted to cry. I hadn't even tasted the sweetness of being in love, yet I didn't want to meet the parents so soon. Jiang Zhan stood straight, looking calm on the surface, but as soon as he tried to walk, his legs moved in sync like a robot. I burst into giggles. I wanted to chop off my own hands. Why had I changed my return flight ticket in the taxi that day, moving it up by a whole day? And it couldn't be changed again. After our relationship was exposed, my parents directly told Jiang Zhan to take me to the airport. I'd bought a first-class ticket, so the boarding gate was almost empty. The economy class line, however, stretched far back. After saying goodbye to Jiang Zhan, I turned to go through check-in, but he grabbed my hand. When will you be back next? Feeling countless pairs of eyes on us, I blushed. Soon. I'll apply for a transfer back as soon as I get there. I tried to pull my hand away and leave, but he pulled me back again. What if your unit doesn't approve it? Out of the corner of my eye, I saw many people holding up their phones to record. I'm not famous, but as a TV host, I really didn't want to trend on social media this way. I gently soothed Jiang Zhan. Jiang Zhan, be good. Next time I come back, I'll treat you to some candy. Earlier, when we kissed in the car, Jiang Zhan had asked me how it felt. I'd said it was like candy sweet. Jiang Zhan understood my hint and reluctantly let go. I quickly checked in and went through security. That day at the airport, someone still took photos and posted them online. They stayed on the trending list for less than 5 minutes before being taken down. Only after returning did I learn it was Song Yan who did it. As a top-tier talent agent in the entertainment industry with wide connections, she saw it immediately and had it removed. My application to transfer back to Hangzhou Broadcasting was approved quickly. I didn't tell Jiang Zhan, nor did I share my flight details. I wanted to surprise him by suddenly appearing in front of him. Before returning to Hangzhou, I went to City B to see Song Yan and treated her to a meal. But I never expected her to betray me. As soon as I stepped out of the elevator, I saw Jiang Zhan leaning against the hotel room door, looking exhausted. After a moment of shock, I rushed over excitedly. Why are you here? Jiang Zhan opened his arms to hug me, looking down at me. Missed you. Seeing the weariness on his face, my heart ached. Joe, he told me your company is wrapping up a project these few days, and you haven't slept in days. That's why I didn't tell you. My flight back is early tomorrow morning. Why did you bother making the trip back and forth? I couldn't wait. My eyes welled up again. That night, I truly experienced what absence makes the heart grow fonder means. We completely gave ourselves to each other. After returning to Hangzhou, with both sets of parents tacitly approving, I moved directly into Jiang Zhan's apartment. Work and life quickly fell into a routine. The kidnapping case also reached its conclusion. Upon investigation, it was discovered that Han Yun had developed bad habits and incurred massive debts. To cover the shortfall, she came up with the scheme of selling one apartment to multiple buyers. She had scammed many people. The amount constituted fraud. Her resignation was involuntary. She'd been reported to the TV station and fired. Because her family had some connections in Harbin, It wasn't exposed. To minimize the impact, the station hadn't announced it internally either. But when the Hangzhou police reported the kidnapping case, they also disclosed the fraud case. Han Yun was almost instantly exposed. After being sentenced, she had someone pass a message to me. It was mainly an apology. She said she impersonated me to commit fraud because she thought my family had power and influence, so even if things blew up, my family could protect me. I usually seemed approachable and easygoing, so she thought if she begged me, I'd soften and help her. Even now, she still hoped I could pull her out. After hearing it, I just found it absurd. Later, I learned Jiang Zhan had spent some money to arrange things, making sure Han Yun suffered quite a bit in prison. On Zhouhe's wedding day, I was a bridesmaid, and Jiang Zhan was a groomsman. During the bouquet toss, as soon as the bouquet was thrown, Jiang Zhan and the other groomsmen split up and strategically blocked the others trying to catch it. The bouquet landed smoothly in my hands. Everyone instantly started cheering. My face flushed bright red. Jiang Zhan stepped forward with a ring, knelt on one knee, his gaze devout. And Xiran, do you want to walk the rest of this life together? Tears of emotion threatened to fall as I replied loudly, yes. Epilogue: when Jiang Zhan and I got married, Gu Yan attended. In college, he was my senior in the same department and helped me a lot. After graduation, he internally referred me to the broadcasting station. He was also my direct supervisor. There was no reason not to invite him. Jiang Zhan's face remained dark the entire time he was around Gu Yan. After the wedding banquet, I finally asked Jiang Zhan, annoyed, I already told you I never liked Senior Gu. Why are you still so hostile toward him? Jiang Zhan reached out to hold my hand, but I dodged. Only then did he say, somewhat awkwardly, in our first year of high school, you kept avoiding me. He told me you were jealous. I was over the moon and ran straight to the broadcasting room to clear things up with you. But through the door, you rejected me, saying you already liked someone, the senior who worked with you in the broadcasting room. I was completely stunned. When did that happen? Why don't I remember? Besides, I never liked Senior Gu. How could I have said that? But Jiang Zhan looked so serious about it he wouldn't make it up. That night, I combed through all my diaries but couldn't make sense of it. Finally, I mustered the courage to ask Gu Yan. I asked if he remembered Jiang Zhan coming to the broadcasting room to find me and being rejected by me. Gu Yan replied via voice message, I did see Jiang Zhan outside the broadcasting room door. I asked you if someone had come by, and you said no. I remember. You were inside practicing that campus radio drama I asked you to help dub for me. The radio drama. I quickly found the dubbed audio from back then on my phone. After listening carefully, I finally heard a segment where the female lead rejects the male lead's confession. The role I voiced happened to be the female lead who rejects the male lead. While dubbing back then, I thought the female lead's crush in the story sounded a lot like Senior Gu. Later, in college, I learned the script was written by a senior who had a crush on Gu Yan. But that senior wasn't as lucky as me. Gu Yan had a girlfriend from another school, and they dated for 10 years. When I played the audio for Jiang Zhan, he was both exasperated and amused. Later, Gu Yan and his girlfriend became the godparents of our son. The end.